Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi, I'm Anna Bailey. Before I got married, I was Anna Rowe. I was born in Peterborough, where I still live. I had a stint in London, but I've moved back to Peterborough now. So I was born in Peterborough. I'm one of four children. I'm the third. I've got two older sisters and a younger brother, and we grew up in Peterborough, went to school near here. And then I went to university in Newcastle. In Newcastle, we had a module called Business Enterprise, and that sort of introduced me to the world of entrepreneurship and starting up a business of our own. A couple of girls in my course actually went on to continue the company that we created at uni. So it was a really good inspiring course to take at that stage. When I left uni, I started a jacket company, which I tried to take with me to London and then start tailoring these jackets with matching trousers. I suddenly realized that this wasn't my world and I was making some very expensive mistakes. So I closed that business. I want to say about 2022. That is wrong. 2018, probably. Then since then, I've had lots of different various jobs. I've been admin at a estate agent firm. I was PR account executive for a travel PR agency. And I then went to find myself as an EA for a family office, which is what has brought me to where I am today. Being an EA taught me everything from work ethic to attention to detail to sort of never say no, always have a solution for something, to how to act proactively rather than reactively, and sort of taught me everything that I learned and that I know today. Since being an EA, I then became a VA, a virtual assistant for a lovely wellness podcast host who I work part-time for virtually, so fully remote. And then I became pregnant with my first baby and understood the importance of flexible working options for women and generally women with children or pregnant women or women at any stage of their lives, really. So that's when the idea of Pally Talk came to mind. It was originally just it was just going to be a network and a jobs board offering flexible working options and remote jobs for mums returning to work after having children and just getting their feet back in the door in terms of work. And then so we launched, our website launched last March. I actually had my baby in May. So last year was a bit of a scramble and sort of finding our feet. As of yesterday or the day before, we reached 4,500 members. We have members in the UK, but also growing our audience in America. and in the UAE, which is super exciting. We now open our membership now consists of any assistant worldwide, even if they're fully on site, hybrid, remote, part-time, temporary. It's open to everyone because there are always assistants who can support you at any stage of your career. I see this a lot in our WhatsApp group, which is thriving, and we have lots of assistants who want a driver, and there was one for a driver in Belgium. So someone else said, I've worked with this company, they're fantastic. And it's just that have constant support of help and guidance from other people in the industry. We get a lot of chat in the group as well about sort of career moving, career paths, career situations, how to develop in their career, which is why we have just launched Pally Talk Training, which is another free offering within Pally Talk, and they're hour-long workshops that we're offering once a week, just to sort of give the assistants something to focus on and find out where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, and where they can put their time and effort into. And so that's sort of us in a nutshell, and me in a nutshell. Is that okay?
That's amazing, and absolutely amazing what you've started. So how did your experience as a new mom influence the way that you built your business?
I think being a new mum, it's an interesting one because you sort of have less time. Yeah, I think you almost get more done because you have like these pockets of time. And I suppose it's enabled me to focus on what would benefit assistants and what flexible working options means for people now with sort of forever changing lifestyles, whether it be children or in COVID, lots of people got dogs, lots of people have moved out of London. So the flexible working options is sort of needed for lots of people. And so I suppose in a way, that's what it's highlighted. It's the 9 to 5 in an office isn't as doable for lots of people. So that's my focus.
So why do you think assistants are often under-recognized in the workplace?
I think they're more strategic partners, and I think they potentially sit in the backgrounds as the support team, back office. I know that term used to be used more. And I suppose they do so much and they build up so many skills. They're, like I said, the strategic partner, but they run what their principal does just without being the front face. And I think they learn skills. Like, for example, I've now gone from a PA to being a founder. They learn skills that can take them to any industry and to any sort of position within a company. And I just think they should be shouted about and just praised more, because what they do is incredible.
So what makes Pally Talk community so unique?
It's unique in the sense that I'm trying to encourage all the assistants to share their contacts, share their skills, share their expertise. Whereas I think traditionally assistants can be on their own within a company and work for their principal, and it can be quite an isolating role. So if they're tasked with something that really, I don't know, it could be a super yacht in Dubai, and they're like, oh, where do I even start with that sort of thing? And they can plug it into the chat saying, can someone help me with a super yacht in Dubai? And someone will reply and say, you need to speak to so-and-so, they're the best in this world. And it's just opening up that conversation bubble so they don't feel like, I can't do this on my own, and they have this support network. And that's what makes us unique, I think, because everyone has just become like a big group of friends, all supporting each other's success.
I love that. That makes such a difference to have a community of people supporting you.
Yeah.
So how do you support your assistants in developing flexible and fulfilling careers?
So we have a jobs board where I try to list mainly flexible working options. We also do list fully on-site ones that come up that are quite unique and a special sort of opportunity. So we do it on our jobs board, and also the virtual assistant world, so from going from an EA, PA to a VA, we have trainers within the community who can teach you sort of how to move across, how to go from being employed to suddenly being self-employed. And so they encourage and help the assistants who are thinking to make the move.
That is amazing. Yeah, because sometimes making that change can be very daunting and difficult. So just having that added layer of support makes a difference. So what challenges have you faced as an early stage founder?
I think my biggest challenge has been focus and time management. I think when you start a business, there's so much excitement. It's almost like an adrenaline every morning. You're like, what shall I work on today? That you forget where the value is being added, and you can I find myself getting pulled in these directions that I have to rein it in. So last night I was like, I'm going to start a podcast, and my husband was like, no, just go back to focusing on the jobs and focusing on your trusted partners. And I was like, very good. That's something for next year. And it's something you can just see online and just go slightly crazy on thinking, I need to do this. So it's been sort of focusing my excitement maybe has been the hardest part.
Yeah. And you've got autonomy and control over what you're doing as well. So you have to be very disciplined.
Yeah.
So how do you balance growing a global business with motherhood and real life?
I think I found it really difficult at the beginning because my company and my baby were born at times. And that was a total fault of my own. I probably shouldn't have planned it that way, but I didn't realize how hard it was when you have a baby, or how hard it is at the beginning of a company. So I think what I've got now, I now understand the balance better, but it has taken me about a year. Hector's in nursery Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday is my day for him, and me and him just have a mummy Sunday. Obviously the weekends I'm with him, and then Fridays is sort of a early start to the weekend. And I think that works really well. I get 3.5 days of sort of focus work, which for me right now, it sort of feels like enough. I'd love another day, but I like having that extra day with Hector too. So I try and balance it like that, really. And he's at nursery when not with me, and then when he's home, I'm with him. There's no sort of mid emails care for him, because it doesn't work for me or him.
So what impact do you hope Pally Talk will have on the wider business community at large?
I'm hoping it will allow assistants to feel confident in their role and allow employers to sort of shout and praise about their assistants more. I suppose it's just sort of being a spokesperson for assistants who are in the background and working their socks off, and giving them something back. So we run events and dinners, etc., just to give the assistants really an evening where they can be spoiled, they can talk about themselves, their jobs, and not be the ones making bookings. So I suppose ultimately I want to praise the assistant community and give them something back.
Yeah, and that makes such a difference. And why is flexibility such an important element of modern work?
I think it's really nice to have both options. And I think going into the office is so beneficial at early stages of your career, and if you're starting a new job or you haven't met the team very often, and it's really nice to have that team bonding. But I think having the choice of being in the office when your life works well that day, whether you've got childcare or you're in London that day, and then having the option to work from home as well. I just think it's so important to enable people for productivity and just like general work-life balance. I personally think it should be the employee's choice whether they go in or work from home. And I think most people will choose a 50-50 or 60-40 split, because there is so much benefit to being in the office as well as working from home.
Yeah, that's so true. So, how do you use your personal story to inspire other women entrepreneurs?
I think because I'm at such early stages, I don't feel like I'd be an inspiration yet. But I'm hoping it's something that young mums or even people who have been in the workplace and just have this desire to start something themselves. I hope it just sort of kicks them in the right direction to go, actually, I will start something. And even if it's starting it on the side as a side project, which is the idea came to mind when I was still employed. So I sort of
Yes.
transitioned across. So I think if you've got an idea and you want to run with it, there's loads of free platforms that you can start with to start promoting it and putting the idea out there. And then sort of just, hopefully it just gives people inspiration just to go for it.
Yeah, you've really set an example. You have to pat yourself on the back. It's not everybody who goes into entrepreneurship. It's not easy, but you took a really bold step and you've paved the way for so many.
Mm.
So, what advice would you give to somebody who is building a business from home?
I would start listening to podcasts. There's some amazing podcasts on starting businesses and sort of starting from scratch and the first stages to take. But I would personally create a LinkedIn page, start a website landing page on is it Squarespace or Shopify or Wix, and just start putting your ideas into motion, really. I think LinkedIn is an incredible platform to start getting market research results. So you can start connecting with people in the right industry, messaging them, setting up calls. And I suppose it's just about building up your network, which you can do via LinkedIn or joining these amazing virtual networking teams. There's one called Circle Networks, which is amazing. And just start meeting people in the industry who you could potentially partner with and get inspiration from. And then, start putting your ideas into reality.
I love it. Yeah, you have to start small. I think a lot of times women are striving for perfection. They want everything to be perfect when they start. And it's just about taking one little step at a time.
Yeah.
Until you look back a year, 2 years later, and you see the journey that you've been on, and you'll have achieved quite a few things by then.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the lessons you've learned so far. What lessons have you learned about leadership through this journey?
The leadership's a really hard one because I haven't got a full-time team yet. I have part-time contractors who help me, and I think it's really, when it's your own business, I think it's really hard to lead in the early stages because you feel so busy and so overwhelmed. And actually, when you take someone on, you need to provide time for training. You need to train them up, and so they can work as you would like them to do for your business baby. And so the leadership thing, I think it all takes time. I think what I'm learning is you just have to be patient, because the teaching someone to work with you to your standard when it's pretty much your everything and you're sort of a perfectionist is really hard. But I think over time you just find you get into a routine and it works really well. But it's never going to be hire someone, right, there you go, there's the email login, can you help me? It's just So I think it's a patient and just something you have to put work in to get the results you want. And that's what I'm learning. So hopefully when I take on my first full-time person, I'm not going to be like, here you go, help me. You need to hopefully be in the same room or an office by then, and train them properly.
So what is one powerful transformation that you've witnessed within the Pally Talk community that you can share?
So I got told the other day, so we had a supper club last Wednesday, and I sat next to this assistant called Molly, who had came to our Pally Talk first birthday party a couple of weeks before, and she was talking to another assistant at the event who actually found her mum a virtual assistant job. So her mum's looking for some part-time work, and the assistant Molly spoke to got her mum some virtual work, which I thought was an amazing sort of introduction. And when she told me, I was like, that is exactly why we've set this platform up, is to connect people and hopefully get people some jobs if they're looking for the flexible working options.
Yeah, and there's a lot of women who have transferable skills, right?
Yeah.
Who have kind of retired, semi-retirement, and they can still be very viable and vibrant if they can find this work that they can do from home and online.
Yeah, exactly.
You found a very nice little niche. So what legacy do you hope to leave through your work with Pally Talk? What are you seeing in the future for your business?
I suppose it's hopefully going to be somewhere where every assistant can log into wherever in the world they are and show support to one another, and not have the closed contact book that traditionally assistants sort of had as their USP. And just to have this, there's always going to be work for assistants, there's always going to be networks, contacts to share. And so I suppose it will just hopefully show assistants that they can support each other to support themselves.
I love it. Yeah, that's so important. So your community is now almost 5,000 strong.
Yeah.
How have you been attracting them? What is it that you're doing that's bringing people to you? Is it mostly word of mouth? Are you advertising? How are you marketing and drawing more members?
So initially, I know I mentioned earlier, when you've got a business idea, to set it up on LinkedIn and start connecting with potential customers or potential partners. I did exactly that on LinkedIn. And since then, I've been doing, so since last January, every week I've been connecting with new assistants, messaging new assistants, telling them about Pally Talk and inviting them to join. And so far, that's been where 90% of our members have come from. And in the last 6 weeks, we've actually started working with a Meta ad lady who's helping us run ads on Instagram and Facebook. So that's an exciting start for us, because I know there's huge Facebook groups with assistants. So I'm just trying to reach a new market. But LinkedIn for us has been amazing. And I think assistants are super active on LinkedIn. And so it's the best place to connect with them.
Yeah. So if you were to share 5 ways to empower and support your office assistant, for those people who have got office assistants, what would those 5 ways be?
That's a really hard question. I think getting them involved in all decision making will only be a good thing, because they know more than I think principals realize. Allowing them to have flexible working options, or just having the option to work flexibly where and when they need. 3 would be to obviously pay them well, pay them what they are wanting and due, just because they do more than I think employers realize behind the scenes. 4, give them the respect and praise that they need. If they need time off to go do some training, or if they need time off to, I don't know, training's probably the best one, to work on them and their sort of career growth, then that should be a really, really nice thing that employers could start introducing, as either a budget or a time where they can go and do charity work or training, for example. And then 5th, I can't can't think of a fifth. I've got total mind
This
blank.
is actually your wish list.
I
What
know.
you
I'm like, fifth. What would I have wanted?
for you, right?
Yeah, fifth. I mean, fifth, maybe like 2 months off in the summer. But I know that's not. Yeah.
You'll be getting a lot of assistance applying for the work. I
Yeah.
love it. And why not, right?
Yeah.
Why not? That could be a possibility for especially young moms during
Mm.
some holidays, and you want to take those 2 months off. That should be a possibility. So build that into your
Yeah.
business plan. Now, my last two questions are a bit of a thought experiment. In the first one, I'm going to teleport you back to that young woman who took a bold step in this direction. You saw a need, you saw the pain, you came up with a solution for a lot of women who want to work from home. If you could go back and give that young woman 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be? And pretend like you're talking to your younger self, things that you wish somebody had told you on this journey. What would those be?
Firstly would have been trust your gut with decisions. I think that's it said a lot, but it really does make a difference when you're making decisions with sort of directions to go in. Trust your guts. One. My second advice would be follow and try and network with the people who inspire you, whether that's following them on Instagram or following them on LinkedIn. And I mean, seeing if you can chat to them, if they're contactable, and just sort of opening up your network to people who have set up businesses and who have a story and have had challenges on the way, because that's always a good way to sort of, it's just a good way to learn from. There's a really good podcast called How to Fail, which I love listening to because it sort of highlights where things went wrong, but that then made you stronger and you learn from the mistakes. And thirdly, it would be just go for it. I think before I started Pally Talk, I wasn't very good at sort of Zoom calls or recording myself or posting on social media. And since then, I've had to be just a bit like, just post it, just go, just send the email, just have the call, just try and just, I think it's just sort of just go for it. Just don't hold back or feel nervous or embarrassed to do something. You've just got to put yourself out there, because actually your friends and family do generally go, wow, that's amazing, rather than, oh God, what's she doing that for?
Yeah, I do love what you're just reminding everybody about, that it's not about perfection. You will look back and look at the very first thing you recorded and cringe and think, oh
Yeah.
my God, what was I doing? I know when I started my podcast, that's how it felt. And then I look back 7 years later and you've refined things. And yes, you'll make mistakes, but the way I look at my mistakes, they're just the stepping stones to my success. You learn from everything you do wrong, and you do it better and you do it smarter.
Yeah,
I absolutely love your attitude. The last question, I'm now going to teleport you into the future. And we are going to go and meet the 90-year-old you. This wise woman who's sitting in her rocking chair, surrounded by her children and her grandchildren. If you could go and meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her? And I'll tell you why I like to ask this question. A lot of women don't realize the wise woman is already in us. She's that little quiet voice you mentioned earlier, that gut feeling that says, do it, just do it, or say yes, say no, go left, go right. But a lot of times we look outside of ourselves for answers. We forget to just tune in and go within and trust yourself. So when you meet her, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
I think I'll be pleased. Like I made it to 90, so I'll be like, well done. And I think you've always got to be proud of what you do and look back at the really good, happy moments, and also reflect on the sad, challenging moments. And so I suppose I'll just tell her I'm proud of her. I'm proud of making it to 90 and proud of what she's achieved.
I absolutely love it. Yeah, I have a little game that I play. I like to say that I play with the energy of who I am becoming. So there are times when I get stuck and I don't know what the next move is. I meditate, I go into silence and my prayers. And sometimes I just go to sleep with a question. So what the hell's the next step? What am I supposed to do next, right? And as you're sleeping, your brain keeps processing these issues that you're working through. And then you're in the shower and you get those light bulb moments. And it's like, it's there, you know what to do next. Or you talk about it to friends, to colleagues. And it's like a jigsaw puzzle. One person will say this, the next person will say that. By the end of the day, it all comes together and you know exactly how to execute.
Yeah.
So playing with the energy of who you are becoming, I think, is a really smart thing to do. Well, you've done something phenomenal, and I can actually see 10 years from now that this is going to be a huge organization with thousands of women having the ability to work from home. There's a lot of smart young moms who get stuck when they have their babies and they feel like they can't contribute towards the finances of the family. You've really created something amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. So thank you for your work.
Thank you for having me on the show.
It's an absolute pleasure. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you are a young mom who's trying to find a way to make an income online, Pally Talk is there. Get hold of Anna. Get some support. Don't try and do it by yourself. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. They are smart women who've come before you who can guide you. Or if you are a woman who's about to retire and you want to make money with just a few hours here and there of online work, again, you don't have to be stuck at home doing nothing. So tune in again tomorrow, everybody, when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thanks again, Anna. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.